He's the general manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, but he's a former player for our Oakland Athletics. He was a fan favorite. Sam Fuld is with us, and it's great to have you back. I think the last time I interviewed was probably for like a pregame show.
Seems like an eternity ago, but yeah, lots happened in the interim, that's for sure.
Well, congratulations on everything that's been happening. Obviously, the World Series, that had to be just one hell of a ride. I mean, talk about what that was like. I know September ended up being a little bit rough. We were following for you. Dave Dombrowski, love him. And he was actually the first GM I ever interviewed. So we were rooting for you guys. And the next thing, you get in, and the rest is history.
Quite a wild ride of a season. I mean, just going back to the adversity that we faced early on when we struggled and made a change at the managerial position and dealt with a lot of adversity as teams tend to do. But losing Bryce Harper for a big chunk of our season and losing Zach Wheeler towards the end of the season for a little bit. It was a really neat season. I think once we got into the playoffs and broke that 11-year playoff drought, felt like the whole city, the whole clubhouse breathed a sigh of relief. And I think baseball's a good game to play without a lot of pressure. And I think we all felt that pressure to get into the playoffs. And then once we got in, it was our guys just did a great job of sort of having fun, staying focused, and just staying in the moment. And those are all cliche things to say, but I really think it helped us get in, make that deep run that we did. And I think having dealt with all those challenges throughout the course of the year, I think it gave our guys a lot of confidence going into the playoffs. So it was quite a wild ride, quite a month.
Yeah, I talked about it on this show about how you guys remind me of like that group of like really good players, like a summer ball team where you start playing, figure each other out. But by the end, everybody's drinking beers, loves each other, loves the manager, and you just become unbeatable, right? I mean, the way you guys gelled and the way everybody looked, you guys are the underdogs. You're like, you wouldn't want to play the Phillies? The way that you guys had everything, and Rob takes over, and it was just like poetry in motion of what chemistry is, which is so tough to build.
For sure, I think a lot of that chemistry evolved over the course of the season, as I said, and I think when we made some acquisitions at the deadline that I think we're additive to the clubhouse. Guys like Brandon Marsh brought that youthful energy and just bought right into what we were doing. And some offseason acquisitions that we made. I mean, Kyle Schwarber can't get enough credit for what he did outside the lines for us. And I think he helped pull everybody together, and it was pretty special. There was a lot of dancing and drinking as there happens to be when you go advance round to round. And it did feel like I saw somebody did compare us to kind of a college baseball team. I think that was a good analogy, because a lot of energy and a lot of fun innings 1 through 9, and a lot of energy and a lot of fun after games too.
Now, obviously, you can't talk about what everybody knows now here in San Diego, but obviously a big deal is out there for the Phillies. So at least we could talk about building on this team that went to the World Series, adding players, adding big name players. Just how key is that to keep that momentum in Philadelphia?
I think everybody's excited about the run that we made, but I think we recognize we still have plenty of room to be better, both in terms of the development of our players internally, from the Dominican League on up. I think we have lots of work to do on the player development side, and to continue to try to bring in the best players that we possibly can on the amateur side and through pro acquisitions. I think we just have a lot of work to do. So we love our team as it exists now, but there's obviously a lot of opportunity to upgrade in different ways. And I think we want to continue to keep this momentum going. I think the city got really excited, and it was amazing to feel the energy of the city of Philadelphia, particularly towards the end there in the last month of October, was just phenomenal. And I think our players, our staff, everybody who had been with the Phillies for a while, had not experienced any playoff baseball, had heard about what playoff baseball is like in Philadelphia. We all got a taste of it, and
crazy.
Everybody's thirsty for more.
Sounded like everybody said it sounded like being in a club. It was so loud, and you got the Eagles going so good. I mean, it's amazing what's happening in Philadelphia right now.
It's a good time. Yeah, no, it's great. I don't know how much of it, obviously people talk about kind of feeding off each other, and who knows if there's any truth to that, but it is definitely a fun time to be a Philadelphia sports fan right now.
And just how much does it suck? For all of us who are just baseball fans, And, when someone like Bryce Harper's got to have surgery and he's going to be out for a while, he was out, as you talked about earlier this year when he hurt the hand. It's just, it's not great for the game. You want your stars to be healthy. Any idea when you think he might be back, and just how tough is it with that elbow?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, it's a two-time MVP that you're taking out of the lineup. That's going to be a challenge for us. Luckily, we have dealt with it in recent history and played good baseball without him. We know we're better with him, and we'll be excited when he comes back. I think, we're just a couple weeks removed from the surgery and everything's going well, going according to plan, but obviously a lot of time in between now and when we would expect him back in there. But, like we've said, I think sometime around the All-Star break seems like a reasonable timeline, and but there's some variability in that in either direction. So anxious to see how he responds and anxious to get him back in the lineup. But in the meantime, I think we'll be ready to go without him at the beginning of the year.
Your time with the A's. I know Bob Melvin loved you, and fans loved you. Just talk about your time playing there. It was special because there was, the fan base, they were always rooting hard for you. Just what was it like for your time being in A?
It was great. It was great. I had familiarity with the Bay Area. I haven't gone to school out that way. And love being out there. Love that. Love the city. Love the Bay Area for everything that it brings. And the first year I was excited. It was non-tendered by Tampa and hit sort of free agency for the first time, and was excited to sign a minor league deal with Oakland that offseason, but felt like I had a chance to help and make a team, and I was fortunate enough to make the team out of spring training, and it was just an immediately comfortable feeling. Started with Bomel and really the front office and just the environment that they created inside the clubhouse, and we were a bunch of sort of underdogs in that clubhouse, and that year turned out to be really neat. That was 2014 was a really neat year. It was an odd year for me. I made the team out of camp, designated about 2 or 3 weeks into the season, played in Minnesota for about 3 months, and then got traded back to Oakland. It was kind of a wacky year, but it was, once I got back at the deadline, at the time we were the best team in baseball. And it was, the Lester Cespedes trade got more attention then, and we dealt with some adversity there towards the end, and obviously still were able to get into the playoffs and have that heartbreaking wild card loss to the Royals. But that whole year was really fun. I mean, never forget playing Sunday night baseball against the Angels in a full, packed out Coliseum that was just about as loud as any environment that I've ever played in, and that's when you sort of felt like the energy of the fans in Oakland and realized how passionate they are. In a lot of ways, I think about it now because the Philly fans are similar. They're passionate. They'll let you know when you're doing well. They'll let you know when you're not doing well.
The blue collar, right?
It is, yeah. So I experienced that, I guess 8-9 years ago playing in Oakland, and I'll never forget that energy.
Let's end on this. Do you get any, when you think back of your time in Oakland, what you learned in Oakland and what you're doing now? So whenever making decisions, or you're thinking about building the team or how to run a team or what the clubhouse should look like, the manager, all that kind of, do you ever refer back to your days in Oakland?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there's limits to what you learn as a player. It was great to have Billy and David and others around, and tried to learn from them, knowing that there was always a piece of my mind that occupied what's next when I'm done playing, and I was never good enough to really know that I would play into my 30s. I thought I almost probably got my career probably almost ended in A ball when I was hitting 220 as a 23-year-old with no signing bonus, and so I was always thinking about next steps in my career, and I couldn't help but just sort of want to learn and ingest as much information from those guys as possible. So it was cool to see. Obviously, Oakland and my previous team I played for in Tampa, been they're the poster children for how to get a lot out of maybe limited resources, and so I knew to try to soak in as much info from them as possible, and I enjoyed every conversation I had with Billy and David then.
Well, I can tell you one of the cool things about my job is, all the years being around this ball club and everybody that comes through is I see you guys as players, and then I watch you after, and then now be a GM that's really special. So congratulations on everything. You've earned everything, and you deserve everything you've got.
I appreciate it. No, it's been a good ride, and it does in a lot of ways feel like yesterday I was strapping on the white cleats.
It doesn't seem like that long ago, and Sam Post, the GM, we were just interviewing him.
It's funny. I just look at the Mets team, with Mark Canha and Chris Bassett, all my former teammates there. There's still a lot of guys playing, and it just does feel like yesterday that we were cozied up in the confines of the Coliseum, and so many great memories there.
Well, soon you can talk about this new person that's supposedly coming to Philly that you can be very excited about.
That sounds like a plan. I hope it's soon.
We appreciate the time.
You bet. Thanks
the great
for having me.
Sam Fuld right here on A's Cast Live.